Don't do any of these things when you leave a narcissist. Okay, number one, do not go back. That is the first thing to not do. Sometimes, if you leave the narcissist, they may try to entice you back in any way possible. They might try to love bomb you. They might try to threaten you. You might think you have to go back for the sake of the children, which is the worst thing you can do. Stay the course. If you go back, it'll only get worse, and it'll let them know they can get away with treating you badly. It will reinforce the behavior, and it'll be that much harder to leave in the future. Number two, do not agree to anything before you get legal advice. The best case scenario is to talk to a lawyer or several and get one in place before you leave. But sometimes life happens, things happen, and you have to leave first. So you must always find some legal representation. If you can't afford to pay a lawyer, get a half-hour free consultation, at least find out what your options are. Find some free resources, find some legal advocacy. If you're not sure where to find that, you could always call your local crisis line, and they have tons of referrals at their fingertips. They usually have a huge database. I used to volunteer for one, so I know that there's a lot of resources that these types of places have. Number three, do not stalk their social media. Don't start looking up their Facebook or their Instagram or whatever they're doing. Don't try to figure out what they're up to. It doesn't matter. If they've moved on to someone new, let it be that person's problem. Because I guarantee you, even though it may not seem that way, it might seem like, oh, they've got this perfect relationship. That's for show. Only at the beginning. It will not continue, and that person will be just as bad off as you are eventually. So the best thing you can do is block them from all social media. Get rid of all your accounts. The less you know, the better. Number four, don't continue to speak to them by phone or in person unless absolutely necessary. Try to get some sort of agreement where you will only talk through text or email. There are many reasons for this. Number one, for your own peace of mind and your own safety, if that's an issue. Also, you now have a paper trail. So if they threaten you or if they say anything inappropriate, you've got it all written out. You can pass this on to your lawyer. Or if you have covered your bases, if you're doing your due diligence and you've sent them an email, let's say going through the proper channels to request certain things, or maybe, saying no to something very specifically, right, to say no to, and they come back at you later, you have a paper trail. And make sure that you document everything. Keep any contact from them. Even if it's really inflammatory and abusive, you don't have to look at it, you don't have to read it, just keep it. And that's the beauty of a lawyer, is down the road, if you start getting really abusive communication from them, just forward it to your lawyer and let them deal with it. You don't even have to look at it. Which leads us to number five, do not, under any circumstances, allow them to come into your home. You need to make this home your sanctuary, your safe space. There's really no reason they should be coming to your home, but maybe if you have preschool age kids and they're not in some sort of daycare and there is some sort of pickup or drop off happening, it happens where you bring the kids to the door, they get them from the door, and they go on their merry way. There's no reason why they should ever have to come into your home. Number six, do not ever vent to your children about your ex. I know it can be so tempting, particularly if you have kids that are a little bit older and you feel really alone and you're just at your wit's end. But not only is it bad for the kids, it will come back to bite you. You can now be accused of parental alienation. There's all sorts of terrible things that could happen. And also, it's really damaging to the children. If you need to vent, you take it elsewhere. Find a therapist. Find a good therapist. Talk to a friend, a trusted friend, family member, somebody else. Join a group. There's plenty of other places that you can vent your frustrations. Do not ever vent to your children about your ex. And number 7, do not hash it out again with them. Do not hear them out. Do not allow them to explain themselves, because they're just going to feed you word salad. They're going to feed you all this nonsense. They might try to love bomb you. They might try to threaten you. It'll never be good. They'll find a way to blame you, make it somehow your fault. You're going to be very vulnerable to their abuse, particularly if it's fresh. Don't hear them out. Even if they're coming off as super pathetic or vulnerable, if you're dealing with more of a vulnerable narcissist, this can be really tempting, or you want to think people can change. Remember, I've talked about radical acceptance before. You left for a reason. That person, you cannot be with that person anymore. There's a reason for that. We don't generally leave lightly. If you left, it's bad. And that leads us to number 8. Do not share a home. Sometimes people will separate and continue to live together. This will never work with a narcissist, okay? One of you has to leave. I know it sucks if you're the one that has to leave, but again, this is where a lawyer will come in, and just because you leave doesn't mean you've given up your rights to your home, okay? Again, something to discuss with a lawyer. Don't take legal advice from me, but work it through with a lawyer, because generally, let's say you did have to leave, it should only be temporary if this home is something you both share. But even if, let's say, you did have to leave and get a place that's a little less desirable, you're still going to be a million times better off than being with this person. And then number 9, do not tell them anything about your personal life. If you're dating, it's none of their business. If you've gotten a new job, it's none of their business. I mean, again, they will find a way to use it against you and try to manipulate you. Number 10, and this might surprise some people, but do not try to co-parent. You cannot co-parent with a narcissist. I've done many other videos on this. What you can do is something called parallel parenting. It means they parent, you parent. You don't ever do it together. That means no shared birthdays, no shared celebrations, no holidays together. It will not work. The people that are doing this are not with narcissists, or they've been forced to in some way, and they're miserable, and it's horrific, and it's abusive. No one should ever force you into having to share time and space with this other person. Number 11, do not allow them to scare you or manipulate you. They will try, particularly if, again, there's custody issues, there's financial issues. They'll make all kinds of threats. This is where the lawyer comes into play. Anything scary, you just lawyer gets it, lawyer gets it, lawyer gets it. I can speak from my own experience. Every time I got anything nasty, there was something so nice about being able to just click, hit that forward, up onto the lawyer it goes. Onto the lawyer it goes. And 9 times out of 10, that lawyer's going to be able to talk you down. The lawyer's going to be able to say, you know what, this isn't anything for you to worry about. This is what's really happening. This is, they're able to look at it really objectively. So your ex might try, they might try anything to scare you or try to manipulate you. And this, again, is where all those other things I mentioned come into play. If you're having very limited contact with you, they're not going to get much of an opportunity to do that. So do not let them into your head. And number 12, do not try to do this alone. Again, this is where lawyers, therapists, trusted friends, family members, anybody. If you don't have anybody, find a group, find like-minded people, find legal advocacy, go to a women's shelter, or if you are male, there are other resources available. Find something. There are community resources. There's no reason you need to go this alone. Talk to your doctor, talk to any kind of trusted health professional. Just find people. We need a support network. It's so important. Those are the 12, and these are in no particular order that I wanted to focus on. I hope this has been helpful. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.